We are here at Hamral Guz on what is called the Plain of the Dead. Under my feet, beneath the sand, there are bones. The bones of my colleagues, victims which are buried here with my own hands.
This area on the outskirts of N'Djamena, the Chadian capital, conceals one of the darkest chapters of the country's history. It's the site of one of the mass graves dating from the time of Hissène Habré, who led a reign of terror in the country between 1982 and 1990. Clement Abaifouta spent 4 years in jail under the former dictator, where he was forced to dig mass graves and bury the corpses of his fellow inmates who died in prison of hunger or torture.
I expect the truth to be told. Who did what under Hissène Habré, and why was it done? And then for the perpetrators to be punished. Because once those guilty of those crimes are punished, the victims will find some peace of mind.
40,000 killed, tens of thousands missing, and countless victims of torture. This is the assessment made by the Commission of Inquiry appointed by the government of Idriss Déby after the fall of the dictator. Hissène Habré will be judged for crimes against humanity, war crimes and torture during a historic trial that opens in Dakar, Senegal this month. A trial for which the European Union is one of the main donors. Clement Abaifouta directs the leading association of victims of Hissène Habré's regime. He, like Jeanette Ngabayi, will testify in Dakar to arbitrary arrests, rape and torture.
He started touching me all over, breasts, everywhere. I said, I'm pregnant, I'm expecting a child. I had this child in very difficult conditions. We slept on the floor. The maggots, the fleas, the insects, they bit us. The child cried, I cried, the other women cried. We cried so much, we really wanted to die. But death didn't come. They hit me with sticks. I was tortured with electricity. They did everything to me, all kinds of torture. Every day people died, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they said, no, don't take them to the morgue, leave them there. They were left with the living. In the cells, the inmates slept next to the corpses.
You could not talk to anyone. Every day they would harass you. You could be accused at any time for no reason. You couldn't trust anybody unless you cooperated with them. There was no way out. You couldn't say anything to anyone, even to your wife. At any moment they could turn up to get you, kidnap you, and sow fear among us.
Me, I want all this to stop, because I don't want my child to suffer what I've suffered, nor my relatives, nor any human being. I'm waiting for the trial. I want justice to be rendered to us.
4,000 alleged victims will be represented at the trial of the former Chadian president. 100 alleged victims are to testify in court. The charges are backed by thousands of documents discovered in 2002 by Reed Brody, counsel and spokesperson of the NGO Human Rights Watch, known for his work on the Duvalier and Pinochet trials. The abandoned archives of the DDS, the political police of Hissène Habré, detail abuses against the detainees. For the man called the dictator hunter, who has worked for over 15 years with the victims of Hissène Habré, the trial is momentous.
This trial is the first time in history, anywhere in the world, that the courts of one country, Senegal, are going to prosecute the former leader of another country, Chad, for alleged human rights crimes. It's the first time that the African Union has established a court. It's the first time that in Africa, anywhere, that the courts of one country try crimes committed in another country. And all of this is happening because of 25 years of mobilization by Hissène Habré's victims, who never gave up and who have shown by their tenacity and their perseverance that it's possible for simple people to actually mobilize to bring a dictator to justice.
A fight that famed Chadian lawyer Jacqueline Moudaïna has led for over 20 years. She was the victim of a bomb attack that nearly killed her in 2001. She still suffers repercussions and continues to be the subject of threats and smear campaigns on the internet. But nothing could dissuade her work for the victims, for which she will be one of the leading advocates in Dakar.
For us to manage to try Hissène Habré, to judge his accomplices, would mean that all the people of Africa can say, we dare to pursue and arrest those who do evil, judge those who violate our rights.
Poursuivre, faire juger ceux qui font du mal, ceux qui violent nos droits.
This is the great lesson we want to give with this case to all of Africa, to Chad and to all of Africa. This is the great lesson. It's the ability to fight against impunity.
It's a trial the lawyer believes can also help reconcile Muslim communities in northern Chad with Christian and animists in the south, torn apart under the dictatorship. Following Hissène Habré's rise to power in 1982, Chad, backed by France and the US, waged war against Muammar Gaddafi's Libya, which supported rebel groups opposing the dictator. Josu Dumassin still suffers from the torture he underwent in prison. His drawings illustrate the pain inmates endured and feature in the Chadian Inquiry Commission on Hissène Habré's alleged crimes. Beyond the physical repercussions, the society's wounds are much deeper.
That's what they did to me. Every time I draw, it makes me relive the pain. I do it because I want this to mark history. The suffering will remain in the hearts for a long time. Even with the current regime, people speak to each other again, but they are scarred. People are scarred by those acts. He has caused division. He sowed that division among us, and he must answer for his acts.
Fatimeh also endured the atrocity of Hissène Habré's prisons. She worries for younger generations who are still suffering the effects of a regime that left 80,000 orphans.
When you go down the street and you see children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren of victims, they're also victims. They were marked by the disappearance of their parents.
During the war started in 1979 by Hissène Habré to overthrow the government in place, Fatimeh's husband was shot in the mouth in front of their children. The wounds are not yet closed, but the trial in Dakar is a ray of hope.
Whenever my children get sick, I always think of Hissène Habré, because he left me alone with these children. They were very small, and I was young. I was left alone to raise them. It's true, yes, it hurts. Before the trial was decided, I continued to feel hatred. It's true. Now that this trial is happening, I'm a little relieved.